I just need to text back Brian Danielson.
You don't need to text me back. I'm right here.
Well, I just did. Let's go.
How are you?
Great. Hold it.
Let's go.
Hey, okay. So the thing, does it make sense?
What's that?
The thing I was talking about.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no, I'm on. Go.
He's on. He's on. Hi, I'm Tony Khan. I'm the owner, chairman, president, CEO, founder, booker, head of creative, and a few other things for All Elite Wrestling, AEW. I was a TV kid. I watched the A-Team, and Hulk Hogan played himself on the A-Team, so that was pretty cool, but I didn't know that was a real person. I just thought that was a guy on TV at first. And then I watched G.I. Joe, and the host of G.I. Joe was Sergeant Slaughter, but I didn't know he was a wrestler. And then I saw ads for wrestling, and Hulk Hogan and Sergeant Slaughter were part of the WWF, so I thought that was pretty interesting. And then I watched more of it, and that was when I was 8 years old, and I've never looked back in the last 30 years of being a huge fan. I'd always dreamed of starting a wrestling company, but there was actually a very viable business case and reasons to do so in 2018. The media rights for wrestling television had gone very high, and I think they're going to continue to rise because wrestling is so strong in the marketplace right now on TV. When I started working on this in 2018, the contracts we knew were going to fetch hundreds of millions of dollars in guarantees. So it begged the question, would there be space for a competitive wrestling product that could also demand big rights fees on television? I thought so, yes. Instead of having a big touring model and people wrestling hundreds of times a year, to me, the bread and butter was going to be the TV product. So I happened to be friends with Kevin Riley, who at the time was president of TNT and TBS. And he introduced me to the team there, and really, they put us through the ringer big time before they signed up for this. And right out of the gate, with no TV contract, as I started to lock up, honestly, millions and millions of dollars in guarantees to sign up wrestlers for multi-year deals. And there was a unique opportunity at the time in the marketplace because there were a lot of great wrestlers who were not under contract. We had to really go out and prove ourselves, and we did. We did really good numbers immediately. And once we proved we could establish ourselves and then continue and maintain those really strong numbers, we received a $175 million contract from TNT. And through the pandemic, that was really what kept us going in a lot of ways, without the live event revenue coming in, because we were the #1 wrestling touring company in the world in 2019 on a per show basis. We had the highest average number of paid fans per show of anyone. And then in 2020, you go to having no paid fans. And I tried to be the first to bring fans back to the live event experience, but still, at 25% capacity and everyone physically distanced and in the outdoor space and everyone masked. It was great, but also business-wise. I mean, the ratings picked up because I think the shows are more fun with the fans there, and also that live event revenue is great, and we've been doing fantastic with our live tours through the last several months since we came back in July, August, and September. Today in Arthur Ashe Stadium, the AEW Grand Slam, it's a very typical show day in some ways. In other ways, it's been absolutely crazy. Nobody had ever done a wrestling show in Arthur Ashe Stadium, which is this amazing venue and like the most amazing wrestling city in so many ways, this great market with great fans. It's our attendance record, including the suites. We'll have over 20,000 people here, which is a first for AEW. I'm always going through the show, I'm going through ideas, there's all the matches, talking to the people in the matches, making sure the show goes smoothly. A lot of stuff happens on the day of, people come up with new ideas, and if there's a good idea that we can incorporate on the day of, then we're gonna talk and I'll make a late call. So I'm making some audibles, as we'd say in football, at the line of scrimmage as I go here, and it'll be really fun. I want to put a crash pad here. It doesn't need to be here the whole show, but for Rampage, I want something here because I think we should toss Fuego off and have you down and then make you watch it or whatever. That'd be great. On screen, I think we have a lot of conflict, but backstage, it's a great environment. I mean, there's always creative conflict, but for the most part, the vast majority of the time, we have a great working relationship with each other, and I try to start that from the top. I think there's literally over 100 people out here I have really good relationships with, and that starts with personal relationships. And for me, I have a lot of things to do, but I have enough bandwidth to make time. If you're on Dynamite or Rampage, it's a big deal, and I'll be spending time talking to you about what we're gonna do.
being around Tony Khan is infectious, and he's a wrestling fan. I'm a wrestling fan. That's why I'm here today. Tony Khan has a real passion for pro wrestling. He started AEW for the right reasons and changed wrestling history as a result.
Tony is a prime example. You don't have to be a wrestler to know our business. He was a lifelong fan. He studied it. He studied the business of it and the creative of it. And every idea he's ever presented to me, it's been great.
For one thing, it's incredible how much stuff he actually does and still is able to keep track of everything. How he doesn't have 8 assistants that are all on the different projects that he's doing, I really don't know. He does everything himself. It's really motivating working with him to see him succeeding and thriving in so many areas all at the same time. It just makes you want to work harder.
When we started AEW Dynamite just over 2 years ago in October 2019, it was a tough fight for a couple years. They had never been number 1 on cable until April 14th, 2021. And since April 14th, now we've had several number 1 finishes and a really hot run of them recently. With the launch of AEW Rampage, we had to get bigger and better and make this the best time in the history of AEW, which I think it really has been. In terms of every major business metric, television ratings, pay-per-view, viewership, live events, merchandising, we're at all-time highs in all of these metrics. So it's definitely the most exciting time in the history of our business. It really hasn't been anything like what we're doing in terms of competing head-to-head with WWE week to week in the cable ratings in 2 decades. And this is all now a head-to-head 2-team competition in many ways. So it is the most focused I think the fans have been on a head-to-head competition in a long time, because there haven't been 2 companies that were able to generate hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue since the late 90s.